I'm Bobby Huynh, and let's queer up the world review. Kazakhstan hit pause on harsh anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Kazakhstan has abruptly pressed pause on a sweeping anti-LGBTQ plus bill just 1 month after the lower chamber of parliament voted to ban so-called LGBTQ plus propaganda. The legislation, modeled on Russia's notorious restrictions, threatened the fines and even jail time of anyone accused of sharing pro-LGBTQ messages online or in the media. Supporters framed the bill as a child protection measure. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev had pushed hard for the measure in the name of traditional values. The education minister told lawmakers, quote, "Children and teenagers are exposed to information online every day that can negatively impact their ideas about family, morality, and the future," end quote. Deputy Irina Smirnova went further, warning that books that promote queer relations and cartoons, magazines, and comics where this is promoted. But last week, the Kazakh Senate unexpectedly tabled the proposal, announcing that consideration of the bill has been postponed to later dates, citing the extensive legal changes involved and the need for special consideration. Though homosexuality is legal in Kazakhstan, queer people remain unprotected by anti-discrimination laws in socially conservative nation. And here is what I call the Soviet paradox, because actually for a long time the Soviet Union decriminalized homosexuality, and yet the minute that USSR broke up, these states have risen up to try to reimpose some kind of ban, although not outright ban on homosexuality, but otherwise some kind of quote-unquote propaganda ban. And for the Kazakh Senate, I'm just going to say very nice, and in the name of Borat and everything that's holy. And also, I'm not surprised, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and many of the Central Asian countries are very conservative and often run by people who are, let's just say, a couple of sandwiches less than a full basket.
I always am a little gentler on former Soviet nations than you are, Bobby, but this was very concerning, of course, to see what was going on. Like, why are you trying to target queer people? Like, what do you think is propaganda about a story about, like, two mommies? Like, how is that propaganda?
And also, can we just talk about, like, they were trying to say, oh, kids and teenagers are going to be exposed online. They're already online. So, unless Kazakhstan want to enact their own version of Great Firewall of China, they are going to see this stuff.
We are seeing, not just in former Soviet nations, but around the world, we're seeing greater censorship of the internet. Even Australia just passed a social media ban on all kids under 16. America, like Florida, certain websites are now blacklisted. Like, there has been, like, this, well, I think one of the biggest parts of the story is just how the internet is becoming much more controlled. But the other thing you were talking about, like, you know, Soviet countries didn't decriminalize homosexuality. Like, yeah, like, I don't think Kazakhstan is a very lefty country at the moment, but, like, some of these countries tend to still be. I'm like, well, yeah, if you actually listen to, like, what Lenin actually wrote and what Marx and the rest of them, they, you know, Mao Zedong, they rejected a lot of the old Christian morality and the idea that, like, religion and taboo should be overly aggressive, and they expanded women's rights and ending the different gender discrimination in general. So, like, yeah, like, you can't be communist and be homophobic, quite frankly.
Thanks to your statement, I'm pretty sure some Fox News analyst is now going to quote it and say that homosexuality is now communism.
If I've never heard pinko commie before, ever. It's never been a thing in America.
Larry, what do you think?
Wow, well, it's a lot to think about, and I'm sort of, my mind is going back to the AI story we did a little earlier, and, you know, how are they going to monitor that? I mean, at some point, the people who are gay or trans or non-binary are going to find their way. They also, you know, it's just the fact that people in the arts, which I hope that this country supports, we've been here since the beginning of time. So they just really need to evolve, and good luck to the folks that are there. I mean, we can try to hopefully support whatever we can for our brothers and sisters worldwide in countries that are limited like that.
I mean, well, did you hear about the World Cup thing? So Seattle is supposed to host a World Cup match. It's going to be in the middle of Pride March, and therefore they've turned it into a Pride match. the two countries got selected for that particular match is Iran and Egypt. And now they are, and now both countries are demanding Seattle to stop the pride celebration of that match. And Seattle is like, well, when we were at Qatar, we have to give up our rainbow flags and rainbow symbols. Now the shoes on the other foot, you know.
That's fair, but I was like, what's wrong with Iran and Egypt being involved? Like, there are so many Muslims have been involved in gay rights, and just because their governments are not always the best, does not mean that the players themselves have any problem.
But these are the national athletic associations that are lodging the complaints. Of course, they're going to toe the government.
You think they have no connection to their government? Like,
no,
even the U.S. is like...
They're towing the government line. Yeah, they're towing the government line. Of course they are. So there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.